Will Keir Starmer ever crack down? Remember, I want to play you this again. It's worth another listen. Here's what Keir Starmer has previously said on asylum hotels.
When it comes to the asylum hotels, I want them emptied. I've been really clear about that. I completely understand why people are so concerned about it. The only way to empty them is an orderly, systematic working through of the cases as quickly as possible.
Working through the cases as quickly as possible. Let's speak with William Yarwood, Media Campaign Manager at the TaxPayers Alliance. William, good afternoon to you. Look, I know you guys specialise in pointing out wastage and all manner of other fiscal tomfoolery, and let's be honest, there's quite a lot in it. We've only been on air half an hour and we've saved 16 billion quid for the government so far. I don't know how we managed it, but apparently Rachel Reeves doesn't know how to do it. I don't think Jeremy Hunt was very good at it either. What goes on here? How do these huge amounts of money, and, you know, we lose sight of what it really means, taxpayers' money. How does it seem to get a free pass? And this is just one part of one department. If we went through the whole lot, we'd be talking hundreds of billions.
Yeah, totally. Well, good afternoon, Ian, and I'm glad to be on the show, and it's glad to hear you've saved 16 billion quid already. We
yeah,
send those numbers to the Treasury immediately.
Yeah, the knighthood is surely on its way.
Absolutely. And look, it's a combination of things. It's incompetence, it's a lack of oversight, and it's also because I just don't think the Home Office is fit for purpose. I mean, multiple Home Secretaries have said it's not fit for purpose and then done basically nothing about it. That's why many people resent becoming Home Secretary, because they think it's the end of their political career. Yeah. But on this story specifically, I mean, it's completely disgraceful. One of the reasons the cost of migrant hotels has come up is simply because we keep having more and more illegal immigration day after day, week after week, month after month, and there's no real deterrent or plan to deal with any of this. I know that clip earlier said that Keir Starmer wants to empty the migrant hotels and get the asylum backlog sorted, but has any of that really been achieved, Ian? I think the answer to that is quite simply no.
Yeah, and where's he going to put all these people? It's not as if he's going to put them somewhere that was going to address this financial element, because he'll put them somewhere that's either just as or almost as expensive.
Yeah, completely. I mean, they're asking private landlords to, give up their rented properties and allow illegal migrants to live there. I mean, you think illegal migrants living in hotels is bad? Wait until they're living right next door to you, for crying out loud, without you even knowing or without your consent. Look, what needs to happen is there needs to be detention centres where these people are kept, where they're kept on a relatively cheap level. They're not given, spending money and the like. They're not allowed to, become Uber Eats or Deliveroo drivers or whatever that is. They should be sat there waiting for their asylum claims to be denied, quite frankly, because if you come over on a small boat, your asylum claim should be denied as automatically and as quickly as possible. And then, Ian, you should be sent back to your country of origin. Or, as other people have said, if you can't be for whatever reason, they should be sent to a third safe country. But unfortunately, the Labour government did get rid of the Rwanda plan. Now, there's lots of gimmicks around the Rwanda plan and the costs of it and so on and so forth. But I think the principle in its idea in principle isn't a bad idea. But I haven't seen any of that from this Labour government. They seem to talk tough on this, but do absolutely nothing. Yeah. And in many cases, just like the last Tory government.
We've been asking the question, William, should politicians themselves face penalties for wasting our money? In any other walk of life, that might be the case, where you would, at the very least, in sort of high finance or whatever, you wouldn't be getting your bonuses if you didn't achieve targets, and if you didn't achieve targets, you'd lose your job. And that element is not even talked about when you become a politician. There's no kind of, I don't want to say a sword of Damocles. We want good people in there that's going to, it might take some time to do something, that are going to do the job. But nothing happened. Nobody ever carries the can for this stuff. We could sit here in a year's time and I doubt whether we'll be able to say, yeah, it was Mick Smithers in the accounts department that signed this off, and he's since got fired. That won't happen.
Yeah, totally. And often when these bad things happen, MPs just pass things off to underlings, or the decisions have been outsourced to Quango, so it's not really their fault in the first place, and therefore they can't be blamed. But yeah, look, I think there needs to be better incentives in the system for MPs. I think one thing we at the TPA have talked about is about, how like MPs get almost an automatic pay rise every single year.
Yeah.
We're against that. We think that MPs' pay should be tied to GDP per capita growth. So basically, if people's lives improve in real terms, then fine, maybe they can get a little extra money. But if they don't, then actually their wages should not just stay the same, but actually should decrease, and maybe that'll incentivize them to pass policies and encourage economic growth, which actually would benefit ordinary taxpayers, which frankly past Conservative and this current Labour government simply have not done.
Yeah, I once went back and forth with HMRC over a missing 5p that I hadn't paid on me because I think I rounded it off the wrong way. And every time the next tax bill came, it was literally written in there, 5p owed. And then a letter came saying there will be interest on the 5p that's owed if it's not paid. And for some reason I forgot. I can't remember how it all panned out. But there was clearly a department that was able to hypothecate my 5p somehow. And yet here we have a situation where the 10-year asylum accommodation contracts have gone from 4.5 billion to 15.3 billion. I don't know if anybody's getting worrying letters from anyone over this. I'm assuming not. These people mark their own homework. There doesn't seem to be any consequences anywhere, which is one of the biggest problems anyway with the public sector for many different reasons. And here we are just talking about it. Is anything going to happen about this? What's your usual experience, William, on how these things end up? Someone might get angry. There's probably a meeting somewhere around one of those £58,000 oak desks that they have sitting in 17 different conference rooms over there at the Home Office. But other than that, will anybody walk the plank?
You know what, Ian, sorry to depress you, but I genuinely don't think so. I mean, the Home Affairs Select Committee, it's not a nice answer, but it's ultimately a probably truthful one,
yeah,
right?
100%.
The Home Affairs Select Committee came out with this report and have rightly pointed out the fact that, yes, it's not only the costs overblown, but the profiteering off of this is overblown. I'd just like to quickly say that let's remember what they're profiteering off. They're profiteering off the backs who shouldn't be here, and also profiteering off the backs of people like me and you, Ian, and people listening at home. Taxpayers, right? That's who they're profiteering off. Yeah. And it's in excess profits, and also they've not given any of the excess profits back to the Home Office that they were supposed to do in the first place. So in reality, they're just sort of hoarding money, and many of these people, what's the incentive in stopping illegal migration when they're making a nice quick quid off it? But look, I just don't think anything will happen. There's all these reviews and these committees and these inquiries, but it's all just fluff and guff for the media, really. The problem is the fact that we have illegal migration, and the problem that no one seems to be interested in dealing with the roots of it and the incentives of it, and no one wants to implement any real deterrent. That's the real issue. That's why these companies are profiteering off taxpayers, and that's why the boats will keep coming.
Yeah, spot on. William, thank you for that. William Yarwood, Media Campaign Manager at the Taxpayers Alliance, enjoying the incredulity imparted by William there.